such as your laptops and mobile phones, or whether it's IoT devices used in industries such as in manufacturing. Okay, that's fine. Okay, no, that's fine. Hello, ManQ. Good. Perfect. Well, thanks, Fred. And also thanks very much for organising. Hello, ManQ. Lovely to be here today. I'm very much looking forward to telling you all about quantum dice and what we are doing. So to give you a brief overview, at Quantum Dice, we are a seed stage company based in Oxford in the UK, and we're commercialising a disk-protected quantum random number generator. So let me start by introducing the problem that we are trying to solve here at Quantum Dice. Now, we live in an increasingly connected world, and this can be rationalized by the development of new technologies such as 5G, and also can be seen by the rise in popularity at Quantum Dice. We are a seed stage, whether it is your personal devices such as Amazon Alexas or your laptops and mobile phones, or whether it's IoT devices used across different industries. Now, however, the problem is that an increase in connectivity actually leaves our society in a more vulnerable state. Ubiquitous connectivity means that many industries which were previously unrelated, so for example, healthcare and finance, they now share a growing dependence on the same set of telecommunications infrastructure. Now, this dependency creates a problem because it creates an increasing attack surface of high-value shared resources, which in turn results in a higher probability of an attack and also the loss of highly sensitive data, which is transmitted and stored at various points in the network. Now, how this problem is solved currently is by encryption algorithms, and currently all modern-day encryption algorithms worth their salt depend on a source of random numbers. But existing random number generators are failing because they are either only pseudo-random and hence software-based, or they are hardware-based and have been repeatedly proven to be vulnerable to hardware-based attacks. Now, our solution is to exploit the fundamentally random nature of quantum photonics to offer a verified and truly random number generator. And this can be used for a variety of purposes. It can be used to encrypt highly sensitive data. It can be used to protect our national facilities. And of course, random number generators are used in simulations as well as in the pricing of financial derivatives. At Quantum Dice, our long-term goal is to offer a quantum random number generator as a compact and completely embedded on-chip device. Now, of course, we're not the only ones to be offering a quantum random number generator. However, we do have an unfair advantage, and this is our disk protocol, or otherwise it is also known as the source device independent self-certification protocol. What this means is that it is a protocol that continuously monitors the hardware components of the device and hence is able to adjust in real time to any fluctuations of the physical device. And hence the end user can be assured that what they're getting is indeed truly random numbers, only coming from the quantum process within the device with all the unwanted classical noise removed. So in effect, you can think of disk as a filter for the random numbers generated. Now, this is useful for our customers for 4 reasons. The first is that disk is able to protect against hardware-based attacks, so that even if somewhere in the supply chain, someone with malicious intent is able to physically compromise the device, you can still rest assured that disk will ensure that the stream of random numbers that is being outputted is truly random. And of course, disk also prevents the silent failure of the device, It also enables an integrated design and also allows for cost efficiency of the end product. Now, all of these 4 features make us very attractive to some of our customers. And in terms of customers, our focus right now is in 3 parts. On the commercial front, we are looking at securing technology trials with some of the leading telecommunication operators here in the UK, as well as looking at companies which offer satellite QKD systems. So QKD stands for quantum key distribution. And this is with the view of integrating our QRNG into space QKD systems. On the other front, we also have an upcoming Innovate UK project. And this is a project that is 3 years long, and we will be working with the National Physical Laboratory here in the UK, specifically in a project to develop standards for quantum random number generators. And this leads on to my next slide, which is the number of current openings that we have. So at the moment, we are actively hiring for both an electronics engineer as well as a photonics engineer. So if you are interested in learning more about these different positions, then please do reach out to us at info@quantum-dice.com. So now that I have explained what we're doing at Quantum Dice, let me tell you a bit more about my journey, both with the company and also within the world of quantum entrepreneurship. So I did an undergrad master's in chemistry in Oxford, and I graduated in July last year. And luckily for me, straight after graduating, I did a month-long program run by our university's incubator called the Student Entrepreneurship Program. And this was a month-long program where I met the rest of my co-founders, and we spent 4 weeks deep diving into a self-certifying QRNG and building up both a business plan and also a pitch for the QRNG. Now, we were able to win a small prize, which has allowed us to start the R&D to get to our first prototype, so our first batch of photonic chip QRNGs. After completing the STEP program, I was very much motivated to remain in the world of entrepreneurship and also to see how far we as a team can take Quantum Dice as a company. And luckily, during the STEP program, we met some of the representatives from Bristol's Quantum Technology Enterprise Centre. Now, this is a quantum technology accelerator, probably one of its kind in the UK, and it provides 12 months of entrepreneurship training through practical courses, as well as lots of advice and support for early stage founders. And I myself, before lockdown, have mostly been based in Bristol. In terms of the company, I've been responsible for 2 main projects, and I think that both of these projects have included using skills that I've developed through the STEP program, through my time at university, and of course at the QTech program. So the first project that I've been in charge of is developing Quantum Dice's market penetration into both the telecommunications and also the quantum key distribution markets. Now, these are 2 very different markets, and for me, as someone coming from an unrelated science background, it's been fascinating to explore how each of these ecosystems are built up here in the UK, and also to start building up my own network of contacts that I can call on for projects to do with Quantum Dice. Telecommunications, as we all know, is quite a well-established industry, both in the UK and also worldwide, and they have a very different procurement system and a very different approach to adopting new technologies than, say, the quantum key distribution market, which itself is a relatively young and growing market, and it is spearheaded by lots of innovative startups in their seed and Series A stages as well. Alongside that, I've also very much enjoyed doing the fundraise for Quantum Dice. As I mentioned, we are a team of 5, and we founded the company in July last year, and we launched our seed raise, which will enable us to get to a finished minimum viable product by the end of 18 months, and also to allow us to start work on some of the commercial projects we have in our pipeline. Now, this for us as first-time entrepreneurs was especially challenging because of the launch during COVID and because of the restrictions that the pandemic placed on our fundraising process. For example, in a normal scenario, during a fundraise, the members of the team will visit numerous venture capitals or angel investors across the UK or even abroad in order to pitch for a company and to build up a good relationship with investors who at a later stage will be a very important part of a company. And because of the pandemic, this had to be moved to be online. And of course, the whole process of relationship building and of networking is a different approach to what it would have been before the pandemic. So for us as a team, it was both a challenge, but it was also a challenge that we all very much enjoyed doing. Now, before I leave my talk and go on to the Q&A, I want to leave you all with the vision that we as a team have for quantum dice. Now, we believe that optics are the next big leap in computing hardware. And as a team, we are very much passionate about pioneering a path for them from the lab to the consumer. And we want to begin by doing so with our innovative self-certifying quantum random number generator. And at this time, I've been talking for far too long. So Frederick, I'd like to hand over to you for Q&As, and I'd love to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that fantastic talk. Very interesting. There's a lot to unpack there. So I'm sure we'll be getting some questions in. There is a slight lag on the stream, so it may take a minute or two for everyone to finish listening to your talk. In the meantime, cool. I have a couple of questions myself. So the first one is you talked a bit about your own personal journey, and I just wondered, at what point was it did you realise that there was a business here to be made? Was it long before the incubator, or was that 4 weeks really important? And
okay. So first, for the team at Quantum Dice, I think we're probably a bit different from other startups, given and we're different because none of the founders were directly involved in the invention of the technology. So for us, the incubator program, or the student entrepreneurs program, was really the launch pad upon which the founders met, upon which we found this amazing technology that we could see huge market potentials for. And also this incubator program gave us both the time and also the resources in order to do enough market analysis for us to both convince us, but also some of the investors in that program, that yes, indeed, there is a market for a self-certifying QRNG. And also the program was also what allowed the relationships between the co-founders to form and also to consolidate in order for us to still carry on working on quantum dice, whether it's full-time or whether it's as a project at the side of doing a PhD or a postdoc.
Fantastic. So I think that sounds like is that a fairly unique system they have there, where basically joining academics, academia, taking their ideas and taking young budding students with
Frederick, I'm sorry, I don't seem to be able to hear any sound.
Sorry.
There you go, perfect.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, how is that a fairly unique system they have at Oxford there, where you combine academics and then younger students with the opportunity to come together and create a business?
Yes, that's a very good question. So in terms of the STEP program at Oxford, we were actually part of the first cohort to ever take part in the Student Entrepreneurs Program. And the Student Entrepreneurs Program was really unique in how it is set up, because there are lots of initiatives out there for founders who already have an idea to either go and find a co-founder or to go and get advice and enough mentorship to allow them to develop their idea to the next stage. But in terms of how the STEP program was structured, it consisted of the venture managers at Oxford University Incubator. So, for example, the people who themselves are in charge of the different patents coming out of a world-renowned institution. It consisted of them first pitching to the students some of the projects or some of the technology that they are looking after. And how the teams formed was that each student was able to choose which technology they wanted to work with. And that was how the Quantum Dice team came together.
Okay, that's yeah, that sounds fantastic. You hinted a little bit about what potential there is in the quantum optics, and I know that Cambridge Quantum Computing and IBM, I don't think they're working in largely in optics. They've just started a service for quantum random number generation, I think over the cloud, and that's got applications in things like Monte Carlo simulation. I just wonder whether that's that kind of model is something that Quantum Dice would consider going into, or is it more the on-chip, the on-device implementation?
Yes, that's a very good question. So in terms of Cambridge Quantum Computing, they have a random number generation as a service, and that stems from their own quantum computers. However, as we all know, there are probably a lot of ways of generating random numbers from quantum processes. And what we at Quantum Dice are focusing on is by using lasers as the light source, or rather the quantum source from which our random numbers are generated. And how we differentiate is that due to the disk design and due to the simplicity of the disk design, we're able to offer this self-certification process as well as a true random number generation process is in a very compact and in a very scalable form factor. And by scalable, we're envisioning that, say, in 3 to 5 years' time, we'll be targeting the global Internet of Things market, where there's a very specific requirement both on the power consumption and also on the size of the QRNG chips.
Thank you. So we've got a few questions coming in off the live stream as well. So we've got one from Mohammed. And he asks whether you would be able to expand on the use cases and what kind of partnerships you've made and in what different sectors.
Yes, for sure, and happy to. So without revealing more than I should, some of the key markets that we are looking into is telecommunications and also in quantum key distribution. And the use case in telecommunications is probably best exemplified by ID Quantique's case. So ID Quantique is one of probably the oldest companies that sell quantum random number generators. And they, over the past few years, have teamed up with one of South Korea's largest telecommunication operators, or SK Telecom. And what they're working together on is in securing their 5G systems with a QRNG. And what that means is that they secure the user authentication center of telecommunication networks. And this is something that other telecommunication network operators all over the world are also looking at doing. Another use case that we're looking into is in quantum key distribution. Now, of course, being ManQ, I'm sure that you're all aware of what the implications that quantum computers have on breaking the classical encryption algorithms that are in place everywhere. And what QKD does, or quantum key distribution does, is that it provides an alternative or a post-quantum encryption service. And for all QKD systems, they depend on a quantum random number generator. And QKD systems will not be able to operate at the maximum efficiency, say if they used other sources of random number generators, because that would compromise the effectiveness of the whole system.
Fantastic. Hopefully that's answered Mohammed's question. And we have another question from Jitin. Does part of working at Quantum Dice involve developing and researching quantum photonics, or is it mostly in the production phase?
That's a very good question. So let me just go back to my slide on the hires that we currently are looking for. We as I mentioned, are a seed stage company, and a lot of the work will be done on the R&D of the QRNGs, whether it's from an electronics engineer front or whether it's from a photonics design front. And to give you an idea of the type of work that you'll be doing, we currently have a shoebox-sized prototype that has been exhibited at the UK's National Quantum Technology Showcase. However, the work that you and also our tech team will be doing over the next year or so is to miniaturize the shoebox-sized device down to about the size of a USB so that it is more user-friendly for our early adopter customers.
That sounds great. So with that miniaturization, could you almost imagine like a quantum Internet of Things ever occurring?
I think that's definitely a possibility. But part of the beauty of what we're doing at Quantum Dice is that this QRNG chip, it has a use and it addresses a problem that is existing now. So for example, your classical encryption, they all still depend on a source of random numbers. And what a quantum random number generator can offer is a much higher quality of random numbers than, say, a pseudo random number generated from a computer algorithm.
Thank you once again. So I think I've got another question myself. I just wondered, in the short time that Quantum Dice has been around, it's managed to obviously achieve some really interesting things. I just wondered what the main challenges that you have experienced on your side of the business have been, and how you've managed to overcome them.
Oh wow, I think that's a question that takes a lot of thought. So for me personally, part of the challenge has been transitioning from doing a chemistry degree to doing a deep dive into both kind of understanding a quantum technology and also understanding and also trying to do some market research into what problems this technology can solve. And for me, coming from a scientific background, it's been a very challenging but also a very wonderful journey, because a lot of the skills that is needed in building up a seed stage company and also in working as very early stage founders is on the customer and also on the market development front. And for me, what I've really enjoyed doing over the past year or so, which is new, is going out to meet different customers to understand what needs and what requirements they have, and to be able to elucidate what types of solution Quantum Dice might best offer to help them address a problem that they currently have.
Very much for diving into that. That's fantastic. I've got one more question, if you're happy to answer, and it's a question about hires. Which disciplines are you looking to hire students from? Is it preferential to be in engineering, or are they in an equal footing with mathematics and physics courses?
So in terms of the hires that we're looking at right now, we don't have a set discipline that we are hiring from. However, because it is a very early stage company, a lot of the work that you'll be doing will be very fast paced and also will require a lot of learning on the go. So the type of people that we're looking to hire from are probably people who have had experience either from engineering or from a relevant physics background, but also someone who is eager to learn and someone who is themselves interested in QRNGs and also what they could be doing to and also the benefits that QRNGs could bring to our daily lives.
That's fantastic, thank you. I think that concludes all the questions we've been sent so far. But I'd like to thank you very much for coming along today. It's been super interesting. There's definitely a lot to digest there, and it's great to see such a young company progressing quantum technology. And I think it's also great to see that people from different backgrounds, it's not necessarily you have to have a physics PhD to get into quantum technology, and I think that's something which is great for our society as well, and we can spread our our message, if you like, our membership to lots of different people within the university. And actually, sorry, I had a one last minute question come in, if that's okay. Um, and the question is, does Quantum Dice have a time frame in which you're striving to create the miniature chip, the USB size chip you were talking about? And what are your long-term goals after you've achieved that miniaturization?
Good question. So we are, and also a very timely question. So we are quite a young, but also quite an ambitious company. In terms of the miniaturized USB-sized QRNG, we're aiming to have that completed within the next year or so. And after that, we will then be moving on to the second stage of miniaturization, which is to get to a completely embedded QRNG chip. And in terms of the long-term vision that we as founders have for Quantum Dice as a company, is we want to become the leader in providing optical component hardware to the industry, and we believe that this is a market that will only grow as time goes, and of course will require talent such as from societies like ManQ.
Fantastic. Hopefully that's answered Jenna's question. Yeah, I think that rounds off the question. So I'd like to just thank you once more again for coming along today.
Well, thank you for having me, and it's been a pleasure to speak.
Okay, we've just